Under the sky we slept last night, just you and me. Oh, what a day, what a day, glorious, the waning moon, our cycle is
It's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here, 'cause it's a house of love, a house of hope and dreams. It's a house of love, and you are welcome here. And in Spanish. Bienvenido aquí, tú quieres que vayas tú quieres que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, bienvenido aquí, tú quieres que vayas tú quieres que vengas hoy. Bienvenido aquí, si es un lugar de amor, de sueños de ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí, si es un lugar de amor, de sueños de ilusión, a este lugar de amor. Bienvenido aquí.
Good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the religious spirit, liberal religious spirit. Oh, back door. And united by our desire to grow in love and service. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the very first time, we are glad you are here. My name's Jessica Schultz. I'll be your worship associate today, and with Patty Carlisle assisting. Our worship musician this morning is Tim McKnight, and our song leader is David Peel. Our tech team is David O'Gwyn and Dean Gadet. Leading our worship today is the Reverend Tania Marquez. Reverend Marquez is currently working as a chaplain at a local hospital. For the last year, she has focused her work on supporting oncology patients and their families, as well as patients in psychiatric inpatient care. She has also been assisting as an educational advisor for Boston University's trauma-responsive congregations. She is also the person who translated the hymn we just sang. You are welcome here. Reverend Tania and I have both passed a rapid test this morning, so you will see us leading worship without our masks. Welcome to our Sunday worship service. Welcome to those of you who are here in the chapel, and to those of you watching live using Zoom. For those of us here in the chapel, you will notice that we have our windows open. This is to ensure good air circulation in the room. There are also 4 air purifiers in the room. Please feel free to leave the chapel at any time if you are uncomfortable for any reason. You will be able to hear what is happening in the chapel while you are outside on the courtyard. For those of you using Zoom, Please notice on your Zoom menu that there is a chat button. You are welcome to use the chat box during the service, but just be sure that when you post, you've opened a little blue menu there to select everyone. This is a hot tip, very important. So everyone will be able to see what's been shared and not just the tech committee. I want especially to welcome those of you who are newcomers at Chalice this morning. Toward the end of the service, there will be a link in the online chat box for adding your name to our email list. In-person newcomers have already provided your email when you signed in. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the mini groups and activities we offer here at Chalice. And now, let's take a breath together.
A land acknowledgement is an honest and historically accurate way to recognize the traditional First Nations of a place. It commemorates Indigenous peoples' principal kinship to the land and the fact that they have not been and cannot be erased from their collective First Mother, the land. It is a starting place to change how the land is seen and talked about, according to Wanda Nannybush of the Anishinaabe Nation in Ontario. For non-Indigenous communities, a land acknowledgement is a powerful way of showing respect and honor for the Indigenous people of the land on which we work and live. It is a way of resisting the erasure of Indigenous histories and working towards honoring and inviting the truth. It is a stepping stone to honoring broken treaty relationships. It is an act of reconciliation. Land acknowledgements are not about placing blame, nor are they intended to restore white comfort. They are prayerful, they are personal, with carefully chosen and accurate language. In honoring Indigenous peoples, we strive to learn the pronunciation of their names. Land acknowledgements recognize how systemic and institutional systems of power have oppressed Indigenous people, and how that oppression has historically influenced the way non-Indigenous peoples perceive and interact with them, in the past as well as in the present. And so, I offer this land acknowledgement. I acknowledge that I live, work, and raise my family on stolen land, the ancestral homeland of the Piamkouicham and the Kumeyaay Nations, a people who have been living, working, and raising families on this land of their ancestors for countless generations. People who have an enduring connection to this land that can never be erased. People for whom their deep relationship with this land of their ancestors is inseparable from who they are. People who consider this land and everything around them to be part of their enduring family.
As many of you know, that was not Debbie Street Adele, but that was our own Judy Cavallo. Now we will light our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian faith. I'd like to invite Patty Carlisle to light our chalice this morning. These words come from Bruce Southworth. For the gift of this day and for community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, Tim. It is a wonder and a mystery that our paths have crossed. That in the immensity of time, in the vastness of space, we coincide here. I am in awe at the ways in which our lives intersect and intertwine, and the beauty we create when we gather. May our coming together makes us more compassionate, more just, more caring, and more loving. May our hearts and minds be open to this offering. I am so glad you are here, and I am so glad I am here. Let us worship. Let us marvel at the miracle of being here right now and the mystery that has brought us together. Now please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing We Give Thanks, number 1010.
We give thanks for this precious day, for gathered here and what's far away, for this time we share.
Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and sorrows. Here in the chapel, you are welcome to write your joy or sorrow onto a candle card, which will be collected from you. Online, please write your joy or sorrow, including your name, into the chat box. These joys and sorrows will be spoken aloud, and then we will remove this part of the service from the recording that goes into our YouTube channel. So this sharing won't be publicly available anywhere online. So you have a few moments, we will have a few moments of music so you can write down what you would like to share, and Patty will distribute candle cards to anyone who wants them. we light a final candle for all the joys and sorrows that go unshared and unspoken this morning. These too are held in the love and support of community. Corey Dorfeld. One day, Taylor decided to build something new, something special, something amazing. Taylor was so proud, but then out of nowhere, things came crashing down. The chicken was the first one to notice. Cluck, cluck, what a shame. I'm so sorry this has happened. Let's talk about it. Cluck, cluck. But Taylor didn't feel like talking, so the chicken left. Next came the bear. Grrr, how horrible. I bet you feel angry. Let's shout about it. Grrr, grrr. But Taylor didn't feel like shouting, so the bear left. The elephant knew just what to do. Trumpada, I can fix this. We just need to remember exactly the way things were, but Taylor didn't feel like remembering, so the elephant left. One by one they came, the hyena. Hee hee, let's laugh about it. The ostrich, ooh, let's hide and pretend nothing happened. The kangaroo, tisk tisk, what a mess. Let's throw it all away. And the snake, let's go knock down someone else's. But Taylor didn't feel like doing anything with anybody, so eventually they all left until Taylor was alone. In the quiet, Taylor didn't even notice the rabbit, but it moved closer and closer until Taylor could feel its warm body. Together they sat in silence until Taylor said, "Please stay with me." The rabbit listened. The rabbit listened as Taylor talked. The rabbit listened as Taylor shouted. The rabbit listened as Taylor remembered and laughed. The rabbit listened to Taylor's plans to hide, to throw everything away, to ruin things for someone else. Through it all, the rabbit never left. And when the time was right, the rabbit listened to Taylor's plan to build again. "I can't wait," Taylor said. "It's going to be amazing."
Hello, hello again. Just want to make a comment because this message is based on the work that I've been doing with Boston University. Just want to name that language, even though I've been really careful when crafting the message. I don't pretend to know where you or people who are on Zoom listening are. And if at any point anything feels triggering, feel free to take care of yourselves. And I'm available after the service for a little bit if you need to talk. For the past year, I've been working as an educational advisor with Boston University's project Trauma Responsive Congregations, led by theologian Shelley Rambo. The project is more than anything a grant to learn about how chaplaincy can support congregations' efforts to respond to trauma in their communities. The participating congregations are already working on ways to respond to the needs in their communities. And this project attempts to bring the skills of trained chaplains to support the next stage of their work. So more than anything so far, it has been a work of accompaniment for the participating congregations as they learn with and from each other. The focus here is on the collective work of a congregation, the ways in which a congregation comes together to respond to the needs of a community, and how their responses are grounded in their own theological understanding of their work. We live in a violent world. and my experience as a chaplain resident this year has expanded my awareness of the ways in which people move through life with deep wounds in need of healing. And there is a lot of conversation around trauma all around us, and not because it is fashionable, maybe but because there has been amazing advances in understanding this topic that has been made available to the public in general. Now, with these conversations comes also new awareness for people who are now given the language they need to name their experience and continue on their process for healing. Every day, you interact or exchange words or a smile with people whose lives have been impacted by difficult experiences. One of the things that I've learned from participating in this project is the need for interdisciplinary collaboration to address difficult topics that impact individuals in different ways. In the planning and educational team, Dr. Rambeau has been working with not only chaplains, but social workers, educators, and psychologists. I have also learned that trauma impacts individuals and communities in 4 main areas. This is information I learned in discussions with the leaders from Boston University, but that comes and was adopted from a chapter in the book, The Psychology of Religion and Place, Emerging Strategies. And the 4 areas are automatic response to threat, lack of sense of safety or control, search for meaning, and relationships. The one most people know and recognize is the automatic response to threat, what many often refer to as the fight or flight response. This automatic response lacks often the ability to recognize real from perceived threat and can be experienced as a sense of fear and overwhelm. It is often referred as the fight, flight, or freeze response. And it can also feel as discomfort in certain parts of your body, like tension, body aches, etc. The second area is the area of lack of sense of safety or control, which can manifest in feelings of loss of agency, powerlessness, lack of justice. The individual here feels at the mercy of forces outside of their control, which may keep them always guarded, fearful, and in a state of stress as they attempt to create safe spaces. The area of search for meaning, for some, manifests as a spiritual crisis, confusion, lack of a sense of meaning. In this area, people may lose all beliefs that can no longer respond to the challenges they're facing, but the experience of confusion and lack of sense of meaning can be overwhelming. And finally, the fourth one, a shift in relationships that manifest in lack of trust, disconnection, or withdrawal, or blur boundaries. Trusting others, setting limits becomes difficult, and an individual may approach any new relationship with a sense of distrust, holding back on sharing their true selves in fear of being taken advantage of. It is important to recognize these 4 areas because they can help us be more intentional in our interactions and in the creation of ministries and spaces for people to gather. And I will come back to this, but first let me tell you about an experience I had while I visited Mexico this past April. I had the opportunity to visit the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. Besides getting to meet the wonderful people there and learn about the ways in which they support social justice efforts in the area, I was invited to join a couple of congregants in a visit to an immigrant shelter in the nearby city of Celaya, a known transient city for migrants moving north. The name of the shelter is Abba House, and it has been receiving and advocating for migrants for a few years. Pastor Ignacio leads this organization, and he actually recently became an attorney so that he can represent the migrants applying for asylum in Mexico. He realized that if he was going to the authorities and saying, I'm a pastor, they wouldn't respond to that. But when he goes and says, I'm a lawyer, I'm an attorney, then they respond to him in a different way. And I met his family, I met some of the volunteers, and many of the migrants who are in transit, and others who are in residence after suffering injuries while traveling on top of the cargo train in Mexico. Many of the migrants at the shelter have witnessed and experienced unimaginable things. And in the shelter, they find a respite, a place to rest before they continue their journey. Almost as soon as we got there, the congregant who took me there pulled out a bunch of word-finding booklets and gave one to each of the migrants and a pencil. I was not paying attention to his instructions or to what he was saying to them, the conversation, but soon after, I could not avoid noticing the silence created in that space as each one of them focused all of their attention on the activity. It was amazing to witness such a powerful moment. Imagine, so many of them as they travel have to always be on guard, vigilant. They have to be constantly thinking about their next meal, their next stop, etc. Yet, with a simple activity of word finding, all of their attention focused, their minds resting for a moment. No threat, no fear, but the opportunity to let their guards down and immerse themselves in finding words on a piece of paper. We now know that trauma rewires the brain, but another important finding around the brain is its capacity to change or adapt based on experience, that is the neuroplasticity. If a person or group of people is impacted in their sense of safety and control, in their search for meaning, creating automatic threat responses, and shifting how they relate to others, how can communities help? And I also know that the topic of communities is both complex and multi-layer. So this is only one facet of communities. Communities, by their nature, are places where individuals connect with others and can find a place to experience belonging. It is proven that groups influence the individual in both small and big ways. When someone feels a sense of safety and belonging, even if not everything's perfect, they can take a break to rest and not think about all the other things about their lives that they still have to figure out. There are things that communities offer just by being communities, but there are also ways in which communities can become intentional about their ability to offer spaces for healing and renewal. As antidotes to the areas of trauma impact, communities can offer embodied regulation, action, meaning, and connection in things like rituals, small group connections, common activities, spaces for spiritual exploration. And of course, it is up to each community, it is up to you to decide what these embodied practices can look like or have looked like for you. And I wonder, how is your community ready to address the deepest spiritual questions people bring? How can their interactions with you deepen their own sense of being, their connection to the divine, or whatever they define as the transcendent mystery of life? It is also known that communities can contribute to an individual's growth and post-traumatic growth in significant ways. The deepening of connections can offer the individual closer relationships. When a person finds this in a community, then their own sense of personal strength and safety develops and grows. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to visit one of our trauma-responsive participant congregations in San Diego. They serve the unhoused population. It is a congregation that is in an area of high need in San Diego. They are first and foremost a church responding to the needs of the community. Their congregants are mostly unhoused, though some of them have been able to move into their transitional housing or permanent housing. The volunteers are the same members. There is a deep sense of belonging among them, and they are committed, as their pastor says, to radical hospitality. They serve the most marginalized in the city, and they are a thriving and growing community, but also a community that makes the neighbors uncomfortable. However, the transformation their members have experienced by being given a space where they are cared for, accepted, and invited to participate is amazing. They soon begin to recognize in themselves among their friends a deep sense of wholeness and to recover their sense of dignity and worth. We visited this congregation on a day when they had food distribution and were present as the volunteers were packing and giving out food to anyone who requested it. And my attention was fluctuating between the explanation the pastor was giving us of their space, the mural with the story of Christianity, and the unhoused woman who started screaming to the volunteers outside. No one made a big deal of this. The volunteers gave her the space she needed to scream, to throw things around. They waited patiently until she left, leaving her cart and all kinds of items on the floor. This, I could tell, was not a new scenario for them. They waited patiently, and after she left, they cleaned up the space, arranged all of her things into her cart, put it aside for her to pick up. And I felt the words of the pastor about their commitment to radical hospitality come to life in that moment. But the point I want to make with this is that you do not have to have it all figured out or to be able to fix something completely or to have all the right answers. Bringing a booklet of word search for someone and allowing their minds to rest may be the best ministry you can offer at the moment. Being present to someone's struggles may be the best ministry you can offer at the moment. Like in our story today, it is not that any of the other animals were wrong, but what Taylor needed right at that moment just was someone to simply witness his struggle. Showing up, being present continues to be the most important intervention and offering you can give to someone who is struggling. You have done this with one another already when you show up in this community in small and significant ways. Imagine how much more you can grow and expand to touch more lives, to transform more communities, and to allow yourself to be transformed by a labor of love. Let me close with this, which I believe exemplifies how communities can tap into their potential to heal and to ease suffering. In an article titled 3 Spiritual Perspectives on Resilience, Wayne Mueller, in his section on Buddhism, shares this Buddhist parable and preambles it by saying that the Buddha said that in any given lifetime, we would be given 10,000 joys and 10,000 sorrows. He says that if you take a spoon of salt and you add it to a glass of water, and then you drink it, the water will be bitter and salty. But if you take that same amount of salt and put it in a lake, and then you drink the water will still taste good, not salty or bitter. So the idea he shares with this parable is that suffering is not caused by the amount of salt, but instead by the size of the container. If the size of an individual container is too small to contain the suffering caused by an event, a community can become the larger container that holds space for so much more of the joys and sorrows in life. When communities come together and care for one another, they organically create spaces for healing among their members. But a community that is equipped with the knowledge and the tools to understand the wounds that many people carry can be a community that intentionally builds spaces and attitudes to be more supportive and more compassionate. I truly believe that community is medicine, a very powerful one. Not a balm that cures everything, but definitely a balm that can be used to soothe wounds, to begin the process of healing, to help us reframe our understanding of the world. It can be a source of wisdom where we learn that we are not alone, that adversities are part of life, that can help us grow our resilience, that can offer us true friendships and meaningful human connections, and that can deepen our sense of gratitude for the small and big joys in life. So may you be granted the wisdom and clarity to know where you are already doing this work and continue to do so. And may you be granted the courage to also create new ways and new spaces that extend the reach of your loving arms to more. Now I invite you to please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing Come Sing a Song With Me, number 346.
Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me. Come sing a song with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring you song of love when rose in your winter time. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me. Come dream a dream with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love in a rose in the winter time. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me. Come walk in rain with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love in a rose in the winter time. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me. Come share a rose with me, that I might know your mind. And I'll bring you home when home is hard to find. And I'll bring a song of love in a rose in the winter time.
The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregation life possible. Teacher Christina Feldman writes, generosity lies at the heart of our spiritual practice. Extending generosity to ourselves and others gladdens the heart and is a direct way of healing division and brings joy. Please text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. If you've already entered this, information previously when you've donated, you won't need to do it again. If your Sunday donation is meant to be a part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate pledge after the dollar amount. The phone number for text donations will be on the screen in a moment. Please give generously. Please join me in dedicating our offering with these words of affirmation. At Chalice UU Congregation, our mission is to inspire individual and communal spiritual growth. Please join in singing hymn number 1021, Lean on Me.
He's right. You're by yourself. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. We are weak when you're not strong. Now we are friends. How can you carry on? For it will be long till after
service, I'd like to remind newcomers online to please use the link in the chat box to add your name to our email list. And I'd also like to take this moment to thank Reverend Tania for being with us today.
With deepest gratitude for our time together this morning, I bless you, each one of you. I bless your quest for meaning and truth. I bless your commitment to justice. I bless your disposition to serve. I bless the brilliance and creativity of your minds, your heart that breaks and still knows how to keep on loving. I bless the future you will create, the sorrows you will share, the ways in which you will find yourselves deeply immersed in one another, feeling held, comforted, belonging. May your days be glad and your song be joyful. May your eyes see like a mountain, your love be vast like the ocean, your hands ready to serve, your spirit always ready to be captivated by the stubborn beauty, love, and hope that will not let go of you. May it be so, and blessed be.
We're invited to close our time together by singing the well. After our closing hymn, please return to your seats for a couple of announcements. Very quick announcements. This information is for in-person congregants. You are invited to enjoy social hour in our courtyard where masks are optional. Please remember that children younger than 5 years old may not yet be fully vaccinated, so please be careful around them. Coffee and refreshments are available on the far side of the courtyard by the Hub Kitchen. Enjoy. And this one is for our online folks. We're trying an experiment for the next few weeks. You probably already noticed that the service was run as a regular Zoom rather than a webinar. Coffee hour is now in the same Zoom room. So if you'd like to chat with people, just stay tuned. Do not exit the Zoom meeting. There will be a brief break with some music for about 5 minutes, so hang in there. And then the Zoom meeting will be opened up and people can chat with each other then. So stay tuned. Don't exit. Just stay there and you'll be in the coffee hour. Thanks, everybody.